Hi everyone, I'm Tom Law. I'm joined by Ed DeRosa. It is Derby Day, 136. We're here live, Louisville, Kentucky, in the paddock at Churchill Downs. It's not raining.
No, it's not.
Everybody and their brother told me it was going to be a deluge. The track was going to be washed away. Races were going to be moved off the turf. They were going to have to delay the Derby. Forecasters are about as good as the handicappers.
I would say I'm going to be very interested to see how many guys in the newspapers pick the winner of the Derby, and we'll compare that to how many people said it was going to rain all day, and I bet it's probably about the same percentage of people who are right.
Boy, it was gloom and doom on the way over, even on the radio, even the local radio, driving over from Lexington. I was expecting the worst. I brought my mud boots. I got my rain slicker. I'm ready. It may come later. Speaking of later, Ed, how does the wet track at all change the complexion of the Derby? Because no matter what, even though it may not rain the rest of the day, and we don't know that that's true or not,
right,
the track's going to be wet no matter what the rest of the day.
Well, you know, now you're in the situation where not only is it wet, but you get into that drying out state of a racetrack, which a lot of people say is more tiring than other states of a racetrack. I think for the guys who had front runners who liked the mud, they probably would have preferred that it stay raining all day, keep the track nice and moist. With it drying out, I think maybe you shift your focus from the front runners if you were going to go in that direction on wet weather and start looking at the second, third, and then the deep closers. I know Mike Curry from our staff picked Icebox, so who knows what's going to happen out there.
Yeah, well, Icebox certainly he merits a consideration as an off-the-pace kind of horse. If you do get that track that is tiring like that, you know, I still think that it favors the horses that we talked about a couple days ago. I really still like looking at Lucky. I do think he's going to be in that first, that second, third flight of horses, able to track that speed. You just got to wonder, you know, he's been running in California. He hasn't really had a lot of adversity, a lot of kickback, a lot of dirt kicked in his face. How is he going to handle that? You know, and you never know. So,
absolutely.
You know, you look at another horse like Sydney's Candy. I was talking to somebody on the way in today. He's going to be on the outside. He's going to be wide, obviously, going around that first turn, but he's not going to probably have any kickback at all unless he's able, you know, unless his rider decides to tuck him in. But then if he tucks in, that's kind of taking him out of his game a little bit.
Right, yeah, absolutely. Those are things to consider. And with looking at Lucky, someone upstairs said with the wet weather and the post positions, you know, they knew I've liked looking at Lucky for a while. They said, did you reevaluate? And I said, to me, with the horse who runs his race every time, I'm going with the expectation that he's going to run his race, especially since they liked how he worked over the mud. So I'm with looking at Lucky, but I also agree with Sydney's Candy. That is one instance where the more I looked at it, the more I actually liked him for the reasons you stated. So, you know, they're first and second choice, so hopefully we'll catch a bomb with them, but I don't think the weather's going to wreak too much havoc on the favorites.